Okay, so let's start. I will speak a little bit about awareness, because to me freediving is a kind of martial art or yoga practice. Is first of all is a practice through breathing, through becoming aware of our fears and tension. Is a practice that it allowed us to become more aware of ourselves, and I think is to use the freediving like this is interesting tools, and not and also of course we are into nature, like when we go to the mountain or surfing or any other sport, in touch with nature. So this is very good as well, because being in touch with nature, it allowed the mind to slow down, and the moment the mind slow down, is easier to get also more in touch with ourselves. And so to me deep diving is a kind of deep diving into ourselves, and free diving, that is a lot related with freedom, is through the awareness or knowing more about ourselves, become more free. Fear it comes always from the unknown. No? The things we don't know, they make us fear. So to know, it helps to win our fears, and to know, we have to explore, to dare a little bit, to go and get out of the room and see what is outside. And when we dive deep, at the end is what happened, that we go to explore our limits, and so is all about this kind of process. And then again, another word that to me is a kind of key word is the balance, because the balance is what it brings the performance, but more important, the wellness. So when we don't feel good, it's because there is something that is unbalanced, and through slowing down the mind, because sometimes we feel not good and we think we need something or we don't need something else, and but many times in our society, that is we grow up in a kind of really rational society. We used to think a lot, and the way to the well-being is to learn how to think a little bit less and to listen. Any kind of babies or animals, they are not yet too much into the rational, they know what they need to feel good. And so what we have to relearn is to slow down the mind and listen what we need, and allowed this, and looking for pleasure, that also in our society many times pleasure is looked like a taboo, or like you like to eat so much or to sleep so much, you're lazy, you're golos, so there is a lot of judgment. But the healthy pleasure is what bring an animal, if it's cold, to look for warmth. If he's hungry, to look for food. If he's thirsty, to look for water. When we are so much in the rational, we lose that. And we start to think, I'm full of food, but I feel sad. And I think that if I eat some sugar, maybe I will be happier. And this, it brings us much more out of our balance. And then, or maybe I drink a couple of beer, I feel happier. Maybe, and so the real way to, the real pleasure, the healthy pleasure, it comes from meditation. It comes from slowing down. It comes from really get in touch with ourselves, turn off the mind, and feel what I need. Many times we don't need nothing. Many times we don't need nothing. Many times we just need some silence and some peace. And if we do this kind of process, we found a balance that allowed also nice dives, because we are more in peace, more balanced, and as well we are much more in touch with ourselves and much more safe, because safety is not only to have lanyard, is not only to have 2, 3, 4, 5 safety divers. Safety first of everything, because I saw years ago one guy dying in front of my eyes at vertical blue, and there was counterballast, lanyard, doctors, safety, everything. So the real safety is our own, is listening. Whales or dolphins or little child, they don't have blackout, they don't have squeeze. Just cause they listen themselves. They don't have yet ego, they don't have to show, they don't have to push, they just go for pleasure, because it's this pleasure that makes you grow, this healthy pleasure. And is also this guide that I love, the feeling of pressure. It's like a strong hug, like a massage from the ocean, and to me it's a pleasure to do a deep dive. But if I think I have to, then all the pleasure is gone, because I'm not in the present moment, I'm not in the feelings. And so if we are in touch with the pleasure and as well with the unpleasure, so when maybe the pressure starts to be too much, maybe I feel I have to breathe, maybe, and if I follow this, my own wise animal instinct and body, they will bring me where I have to go. If I don't let the mind and the ego more than the mind, because the mind at the end is a friend. But if I don't let the ego to push me, and the ego is the biggest cage of ourself, and but in our society growing, many times we become a teenager, and then we start to build an ego, and as bigger we build this ego, as more oppressed we will be from this ego. Ciao, Adam. Hello.
Guys, the downstairs room is free now.
So we were talking about the ego, this cage that we build around ourselves, with our own ego, and that freediving, like yoga, like meditation, like other practice, it can help us to become aware of the ego and become more free. And because the real freedom is not to do what we want, but is to become more free from our ego. And yeah, I lost a little bit the flow from upstairs, but let's see. I don't like to prepare talks, and I like to let it flow depending on what we have to hear, and it comes. And as well, I will leave a moment for question if somebody has question. And but what I was saying and what I would like to talk about is not much about kind of technical things, how to equalize or how to kick or how to train, but more about awareness. And awareness, it then becomes very important in anything we do, also for training, for example, because training, I always say that the strength of ourself is always, it depends from our vulnerability. I mean, if we have a chain, the strength of the chain is measured by the weakest ring. So if we have a very strong chain, very big and good, but one ring is weak, the whole chain is weak. And we work the same. We can have big legs, we can have big lungs, but if we have some fears or we have some part that are weak, we are weak. So instead of, again, the ego, it won't just train always what is good for him. So I have strong legs, so I go to the gym and every day I do a lot of look, I'm strong, look my legs. Or I'm flexible, so I go only to do yoga. Look how I'm flexible, and I can put my feet everywhere. And it's okay. But what nobody want to do is to feel a shit. Nobody want to go with somebody that is say, okay, do this, and you do something you never did in your life, and you say, wow, I feel so weak, I feel so vulnerable, I feel it's so hard to do this for me, or just sometimes could be very hard just to sit in silence and stay there. Some people they get crazy, you know? So awareness is also through the help of people that from outside, they can maybe help you to understand your vulnerability, to understand where we are weak and vulnerable and work on that. The problem, again, is the ego, because many times if somebody say to us, look, in this you're a shit, the first reaction we have, we close, we run away, we say, I don't want to hear this guy, he's criticizing me, he's judging me, he's a bad person, no? But in reality, the person that is able to see our weakness is the best master, is the person that can really teach us something. It's not the person that say, you're the best, you're the strongest, you're this and that. Of course, it's nice as well. And so sometimes it's letting go the ego and open and being back with the feet on the ground. Also, if we are very good in whatever we do, because of course I'm here, one of the legend of freediving, David Carrera, I'm very deep. But I know that each of you are better than me for sure in many other things. So I don't compare me with you or with nobody. We are all very good in something, and we are all maybe very bad in something else, and it's okay. And what we can do now as well is we can do a little meditation, a little experience. Maybe you did a lot already this week. I don't know exactly the plan you did this deep week, but also without much technique or names or brand or things about meditation or yoga, but just simple shifting, observing that most of the time we are very much into our mind, and so just getting into the feelings, starting from how I sit, feeling the weight of my body on my sitting bone, or if I stand up on my feet, feeling my weight, feeling my back, if it's straight, and try to be comfortable. Not always is easy, but sometimes at home with a pillow, with a chair, with something we can help, or working also on the flexibility of the legs so that we can keep the back more straight. So trying to get in balance and to feel this balance, and bringing also the attention and the feelings into the breath, really feeling the air that is caressing the nostril coming in and passing through here, like if we want to smell the air we breathe. And then the air is going down into the lungs. The diaphragm is like embracing the air coming in. And we can bring our attention also in the first chakra, in the perineum, or in the genital area, and try to feel this part. It's not always easy to feel every part of our body, but with training also perception is based on training. We can become more sensitive in feelings as more we put our attention and our energy in that. And again, to me, starting from the first chakra, from the perineum, is really related with pleasure, the healthy pleasure I was talking before, and safety. The first chakra is related with the animal side and the wisdom of the animal, the survival instinct, and the balance. Like I said before, I'm cold. What gives me pleasure is some warmth. Get out in the sun. I'm hot, jumping in the water. So this is the healthy pleasure. I'm thirsty, water. And this, it comes not from the mind, not I think I have to drink more. No, I'm thirsty. It comes from the animal side. because it belongs to this side. And as well, me, for example, the last breath before a deep dive, a very deep dive, I really go with my breath in my perineum because it helps me to connect with this survival instinct that helps me to relax. Because if I know I can trust my animal wisdom, I know the animal wisdom, he know when is the moment to turn and come back. So I don't have to worry. I don't have to think, oh, I'm going too deep, or no. It's my own body that knows. And we can awake, because of course in our modern society, with all safety, and we drive a car and we have the belt and this and that, we lost a little bit this connection with the instinct, no? That it feels the danger. But we have it. We have just to awake it again. And it's good. It's not good just for freediving. It's good also if you walk in a parking night. It happened to me, for example, and I think that thanks to developing this instinct, once I was walking to my car and I felt something, you know? And there were just two men walking, and that happens every time we walk in a road, in a street, in a town. We have always people around, but I felt like an energy, you know? So instead of, I was putting my hand in the pocket, instead of taking the key of the car and open the car, I walk on the other side of the car and I turn, and they stop and they look at me and they go away. So they were there to steal, you know? And it was just a feeling. If I was maybe in that moment in my mind and not listening this feeling, I took my key, they come to big guy and they steal my car, you know? And it was a shitty car anyway. And yeah, so is this, and this connection really, it comes from silence. It comes from getting in touch with nature. And if we are not so lucky to live in a paradise, but we live in a big city, the best way to get in touch with nature, we are part of nature. So is getting in touch with myself. Again, through meditation. I can stop, breathe, and feel. At the beginning, it could feel like boring, but with some training, then it becomes a nice practice and a journey, and that can also be accompanied by a yoga practice, for example. That yoga as well is a good practice when we are not close to the sea, because of course if we love freediving and we have the ocean, we can go practicing in the sea. But if we are in a city, also yoga, for example, is a very nice practice to become more aware of our body, because moving and stretching, we can feel our body, and our fears, the mind and the body are connected. So if we have some mental limits or fears, normally they get into the body and we have tension in the body. And so when we start to move and to do some movement, and we become aware of the tension. Oh, look, this I cannot do it properly. And the moment I feel a tension and I release and I breathe, I feel emotion, I'm letting go also fears and mental limits from my mind, and also become more free. Good night. Nobody's leaving yet. Yeah, more or less, I said a little bit what I want to say, that about this, to use freediving as well, like a tool to become more aware. If somebody has some question, then if I feel I will say something else.
Do you have any tools or techniques that you use just in case you're on a dive and you do get some feeling of stress? Do you have something you actively do to relieve it?
Yes, I try to observe. Normally, the stress it comes before. That you think, tomorrow I have these big dives, and you are a little bit nervous, but visualizing, trying to accept. Also, something that it helps me very much is accepting failure. This is again accepting a vulnerability, is accepting being human. The moment you accept being human, and you can fail, I have right to fail, I'm free. And the most part of anxiety and the weight of I have to, it's gone. I'm free. I'm like a children playing. I'm at the World Championship, but if I feel I have to turn at 20 meters, I will turn. It's hard. It's hard to be sincere in that, because I can say that to myself, but not really. No. Then when I'm there, I push till I die. No. But being sincere with yourself and say to yourself, treat you like really like a child, and say, Davide, you are free. First of all is feeling good, enjoying. And it's difficult because it's so obvious to say this. It's the most obvious thing. But when we are there with the stress, it becomes very difficult. And so it's a practice as well. It's with the practice, and yeah. And the moment we accept to be vulnerable, to be human, to fail, it's like we are taking our ego on a side. And the moment we take our ego on a side, the ego is the individuality. The moment I take the individuality, I can feel more connected with the ocean. We are the ocean as well. We are all drops. Everything. I can feel the energy. And when I let go this cage, I can allow to be God, to be divine, because we are divine as well. This energy is everywhere. So in the moment we accept it, we open it to it, we can do things that we cannot imagine. But to do miracles and things that we cannot imagine, we have really to kill ourselves. first. Kill our ego. Not really. We don't need blood today, but just put the ego on his side.
How do you do this practically, like concrete?
It's a process. It's a process. It's also
how can you?
It's also a process of thinking. For example, I'm shy in doing something, and why I'm shy. So I can to accept. And to love yourself. Love yourself doesn't mean being egoistic. It means just being gentle. And it's just through being gentle with yourself that you can be gentle with others. And realizing that my own ego that I built or other built around me, because also building ego is the best marketing. If you want to sell something, sell it around the ego. If you have this, you will be the best. So I buy this and I have a little bit bigger ego. I paid €100 this. Look, this is Italian tea. And so it's realize what it not allowed me to be free. And again, before I said I allowed myself to turn at 20 and come back if I feel it, but I can allow myself also to dare and to play, and maybe I fall down. When I was a child, I was going up to the mountain with my bicycle. At the time, we hadn't the mountain bike like a gear like this. It was like a BMX, and so I was walking up to the mountain with the bicycle, and then with my friend going down like crazy. And every day I was falling down. And sometimes it's also playing a little bit crazy, and it's okay. And I don't mean that we have to go blackout every day, but as well to find, again, we go back to that word we said at the beginning, to the balance. That the balance, we have to find our own balance. And as more we connect, and I repeat again, with this animal part and with our perineum and also with other chakras, and I'm in contact with myself, at less I need to hurt myself to find my limits, because I feel it. But as well, if it happens that once I push a little bit more and I black out, it's okay. Of course, I don't go to push myself and to try crazy things if I'm alone, because that means dying. But if I'm in a safety environment and my friend and my safety are happy with it, and we are okay, maybe I can try a little bit more. And many times I say this because and about balance, because there are people that they push always, and so they have to learn to limit themselves. But also there are many people that they never dare nothing, that maybe they can go to 50 and they go always to 20 because they're scared of. So it's try a little bit and see, and observe. Again, observe. Also, when I come out from a deep dive, sometimes some students, they comes out from a dive and they get on the surface and they and they're super calm. They say, I was almost dying. I say, but if you're not breathing. So this was in the mind. No? I was thinking I was dying, but in reality you are not breathing. So if you really were close to your limit, after 2 minutes you surface, you are still after 2 minutes. So if after 3 seconds that you surface, after the first you are not breathing anymore, that means that you are not to your limits. Again, it's the mind many times that makes everything.
You spoke a little bit about the different chakras and the different awareness that yoga can bring to these. And then I see you dive and this monofin technique. Can you talk a bit about the chakras and this monofin technique?
Yeah, nice. Thank you for the question, because this is why I really love monofin, because to me the monofin is the discipline that most allowed like this kind of dance, this expression of the movement through all the chakras. And so that you have to work on any part of your chakras, that means of your thought, emotion, and different things. And so it helps to do this job of balancing everything, and this all connected. So yes, of course we all have some chakras that are more open, more closed, more energy, less energy, and also the relations we have, it can also help to balance chakras, because we teach each other. A person that he has a chakra very open, he can help a person that he has this chakra very close to open it. And maybe that same person, it has another chakra very open and another, so is very good. And also in the movement, then looking video or by feelings, you feel if you have more tension or more weakness, because it's all a balance between is not only flexibility and is not only strength, is both, and is both male and female, yang and yin, that it brings to the balance, to the performance, to the real strength. Something that is only strong, it breaks. Something that is only flexible, it doesn't come up from a deep dive, because it needs the strength as well. So is balancing the feminine side and the masculine side. Thank you. Yeah, and this is I really believe that in some sport, maybe like maybe some fighting sport or like this, it could be good to have more masculinity, or then it depends, because some years ago I remember, for example, I don't remember the name, but one of the family, Grace, he won a UFC World Championship. UFC is where the all martial art or boxing or fighting techniques, they meet and they fight each other. He was coming from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but he had a very smooth practice. He was mainly teaching to children, and he went. His father said, "No, this year you go to the World Championship." He went and he won, and he had he won because he was like a snake. They couldn't grab him, and so it was a kind of also female energy into his fight. But I was saying, mainly in some sport, maybe the masculine energy, it helps, but in freediving I really believe that it's very important to have this balance between our masculine energy and feminine energy inside ourselves. So also to learn how to, like when you go deep, you have to surrender, and surrendering is a feminine quality. So to abandon. If you don't abandon, you squeeze. And this is physics. If you take a balloon and you bring it to 3,000 meters and you bring it back, nothing happens. Just the balloon, it makes, and then you bring it up to the surface, and it's like before. If you take a box, also if it's very strong, like very macho box, and you bring it down, there is a point, unless it's like 10 centimeter steel, but there is a point where it breaks. And our lungs is the same. If we are humble, if you are in this feminine abandon and surrendering and not fighting the pressure, we are like the balloon, and we let the pressure to, and nothing happens. Also because if I'm relaxed in the muscle and not like this, fighting, if I'm relaxed, also the blood shift, it works better. And so the blood can go to the lungs capillary and it helps to don't squeeze. But if I'm tense, I'm like a box, I will feel the pressure, and there will be a difference of pressure between outside and inside my lungs. And this difference of pressure is what, imagine how vulnerable the lungs capillary are to allow the gas to pass from the blood to the lungs. And then if you sap your skin, you break capillaries. So at the moment there is a depression, there is a squeeze. So the only way is to surrender. And so this feminine quality.
Can you speak a bit about the evolution of your practice like that? I guess you do it since many, many years. How do you see the evolution of mastering your ego? Do you still feel like a beginner in that field? Do you still have your ego surprising you once in a while? Or do you feel like after some years and years you have finally, you are a master in controlling your ego? How does it evolve? How many years does it take to...
Yeah, look, the progression is that 45 years ago, I was a master. And then I forgot it. And then it's 45 years that I work to be back, to be able to be a master like when I was 4 years old. And my freediving, when I was 4 years old, I was a master because I was feeling everything. And then I build things. Then is always the process. It's always up and down. You know, you go up, you learn something, then you think you are good, and the moment you think you are good, you are forgetting things and going back again, and then fuck, I'm a shit. So you are starting again to learn something and to get, so it's always, you know, like there is a imaging of the ascension to enlightenment that is like this. You know, in the beginning you just go like this, and any times you get a little step up and then down again, a little, and then you go up. But yeah, is a process, and it's not about years. Any people is different. Any experience can change you. Imagine a person now in Palestine, for example, what they are passing through. So the experience they're having, maybe they change them like 50 years in a monastery in 2 months. And so it's not about time, it's about experience. And to me, for example, the competition is a good test about the ego, because sometimes some people into yoga, into spiritual things, they say, no, I don't compete because I don't care about competition. But then sometimes they have more ego than people that they compete, and they don't compete because they are scared of. And the moment you go to a competition, you are naked. You cannot talk. You cannot say I'm good. You cannot say I'm the best. You are there naked, in front of judge, in front of camera, in front of the other people. In that moment, you have to do it. And as more your ego is big, as more is limiting you. Because if my ego is big, I'm anxious of failing. Yeah, I talk to everybody that I'm the best, now I'm here, if I fail. But and so is going to the competition is a good test of my ego. How much I can be myself, how much I can be playful, how much I can enjoy, how much I can sleep the night before, how much I can wake up and thinking, oh, nice day, let's go to the sea. And not, fuck, I have to go to the competition, I have to do what I announced, I didn't sleep all night, you know. So it's a very, for example, competition is a very good thermometer to see the level. Yeah. And of course I have still a lot of job to do. Yeah.
On the way up, you have very powerful monofin technique that it seems you push, you have
Yes.
good rhythm, you push. Can you still, in that phase of the dive, say, okay, I'm relaxed, or you're just pushing it?
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, 1 second, because before you were asking something as well.
I was
Then
wondering, because sometimes we have dives that everything is working, and then there is a little thought that says, you're not going to make it, I can't make it. And I understand that one way is an act of kindness and self-care and just turn around, but I was wondering if maybe you have some internal dialogue with yourself that can maybe not push it away, but have a little dialogue and then push it away in a way and replace it with something more.
Okay. Yes. So it's shorter this answer, and then I will answer better. So about the speed, mainly is because I train the most part of the year in Mediterranean, but in winter and at home, and normally I train with thick wetsuit and 4 or 5 kilos. And so at the beginning I have to push to go down because I'm very positive. But then after 30, 40 meters, the 7 or 8 mil wetsuit is squeezed. And when I get to 80, 90, I'm very negative with 4 or 5 kilos. And so to come up, I have to push. Because if not, if I go relaxed, I stay at the same level. And so, because of years training like this, I get used to push. Then when I go to vertical blue or to Dominica or a warm sea with a thin wetsuit and less weight, also if I feel I'm not pushing at all, I'm going very fast. But I try to don't push. And also I like when we exercise, I like to feel, you know, the muscle that are doing something. Is also a nice feeling, and so if I'm so light and I don't feel nothing, sometimes I I accelerate a little bit to feel a little bit my legs that are working, and the feelings as well there. The legs are part of the first chakra, are part of the root. It's like a rooting feeling to me, to feel my legs. And it helps also to keep my mind calm. And I'm relaxing. I'm just, my legs are working, but I feel good. And also, since some years that I started to train also more strength, I feel good. I mean, I don't feel burning my muscle in the way up. So it's not like suffering, like pushing, but no, it's pleasant all the way up. Before, because when I was a teenager and then I met Umberto Pellizzari 30 years ago, the idea of freediving, it was we have to be skinny, to don't have much muscle, to don't burn oxygen, and so we have just to train endurance. And so I was coming from swimming, and I was a sprinter, so I had some muscle. And Umberto was saying to me, you have too much muscle, you have to train more, just aerobic and endurance. And so I started to do that. And after a few years, I was good in being maybe 8 hours in the sea going up and down. But if I was doing one deep dive, I was feeling burning. It's like if you put a marathon runner to run the 200 meters. So then I started again because I see Molchanov doing squat with weight. I say, what the fucking is doing? Umberto said that it's not good for freediving, it's crazy. But then he was diving deep, so I say, well, maybe I should start as well. And so I talked with the trainer and say, yeah, of course, because the glycogen and this and that, the muscle also is a tank of energy and of oxygen, and say that makes sense, so let's start to do this. And there was a shit, because I always did for years and years just endurance and a lot of yoga. I went to India, I was saying yoga is the best, being flexible is the best thing. No, it's balance between everything. And when I start to do strength, I saw like an old woman coming to the gym and lifting more weight than me. And I was saying, but then it helps. It helps, and then of course, if I learn, maybe if I will spend more time in warm sea and have the opportunity to do more dives and to slow down a little bit, I think also it will help, and maybe I can also do something more, because of course going fast you burn more. And the other question about the thought, and yes, of course, once I said it's like gardening, you know, you have to remove the weed, the bad herbs from your head, and it's something you have to, and you can. Sometimes it happened to me as well, to be in a competition, the person before you will black out, and you start to think, there is some current. Or for other reason. Also, the other day, I came from for personal things from a period without sleeping much, and I was asking myself, is there a new? You know, I was okay. I know that I can dive under 16, but it's kind of new to dive at this depth, also if I did in training a few days before, but without sleeping properly, and so you have doubt, and you can have negative thought, and but then it's trying to transform. And for example, the most powerful thing is the power of now. I don't know if you know Eckhart Tolle, for example. There's this book that is very interesting, The Power of Now, and getting to the present moment, it helps a lot. And the other day I was going down, and in certain moment I felt myself a little bit nervous, and then I say, okay, just how you feel now. Good. Go on. And also another thing that helps a lot to me is where we look. Where we look, it helps. There are psychologist techniques also about mind, how is connected with the sight. So I observed, looking my students, that the point we look, it change the state of mind a lot. So if we are able to keep our sight straight in front of us on the line, but not here and not here, but here, I'm here and now, and you stay there. And here and now is the only place and time when you can really feel. And when you feel, you are safe. Because you are connected with this part that say to you, okay, you feel good, everything is fine, go on. You feel strange, maybe something is not working, go back. So it's like also learning how to separate the paranoid thought from the animal instinct. They comes from two different sides. And with practice we can learn how to recognize if it's a negative thought. And so to the negative thought, like a warrior, you have to cut it and you have to say, go out, let me in peace. And you have to be. And with the animal instinct, you have to listen. And again, about the mind, that there are so many studies and so many intellectual things and so many, but also the mind is related with a very basic thing, that is nutrition. What we eat, and also better than what we eat, how we cultivate our garden, it changes our thought. Our garden is our intestine. Our intestine is like our garden. If it's healthy, it will have nice fruit and vegetable and flowers. And if it's not healthy, we'll have just weed and or parasite or insect or nothing. And so the microbiome, the intestine is the second organ most richest in neurons, and is deeply connected with the brain. And if we eat properly and we alkaline our body and our intestine, also the thoughts are much happier and peaceful. Sometimes I say in the intestine there is like Star Wars. There are the Jedi and there are the bad warrior. They fight, and depending on if we feed the Jedi, because the good flora, the good bacteria, they need more fiber and alkaline food, and the parasite, they need more acidic. So if we feed the Jedi, we will be fighting for the light. If not, for fears and darkness.
Just a question then. How would that go about with, for example, sauerkraut? Which is
sauerkraut is very good.
Fermented food, but it's sour.
Yeah, but it's very good. No, the sauerkraut is very good. A lot of fermented food are probiotics, I do it also for myself. The best is to do it yourself, because the one you buy, the 90% are pasteurized, so are not very probiotics. But I do it with seawater. I cut a cabbage, I put in a jar, and I put seawater, and in 10 days, 2 weeks, summertime is ready and is very good. But also miso, kombucha, there are a lot of fermented vinegar, like umeboshi vinegar or apple cider vinegar.
But this is not very alkaline food, I mean.
Yes, the alkaline, it doesn't mean, for example, lemon is alkaline, also if it's very acidic, but the result that it has on the body is alkaline. And yeah, mainly sugars, too much carbohydrate, and this is more acidic. Then depend also on what we do, because of course if we train a lot, the body, the muscle, they need glycogen, and so it's good to eat also more carbohydrate. And then if we start to talk about nutrition is another very big things, but it's good to be curious and to maybe to listen things that we didn't thought, and then to investigate, and then yeah, to see. But what is really, to me, is really important to say is this thing that many times we don't relate depression or sadness with what we eat, and it's very related. It's very related. So it can help a lot to know, to be aware of, I feel sad, okay, I go and I eat a lot of shit, but then I feel worse. And so if I know, it helps. Any other question? So I don't know what time is it, but I think we need... Che ne so?
4:10.
4:10? Okay. I think, I don't know if she's already here, but before I had lunch with the Italian team, and Alessia said, yeah, around 4 I come to say hello to the group. So I don't know if she's already here. And
she's dancing.
I don't know if somebody want to look out if Alessia she's here, and so to tell her that she can come. If not,
where is Antonio?
I could ask you something.
Where is Antonio?
Sorry, sir.
I could ask you something meanwhile wait for her.
Yeah, okay.
Recently I had this kind of mantra that I came up with. I'm curious what was yours when you started, like when you're maybe my level, 30, 35. What were the things that you would tell yourself to, like, to get in the mood and relax, and because I feel like you always say things in a way that is very inspiring, and I'm curious.
Yeah.
What you used to say to yourself versus what you tell yourself now.
Yeah. Also mantras. It helps to clear the mind. At a certain point, I had zitto e nuota. Is keep on swimming, from Mimo. Other times is Ave Maria. No, I really say a lot of Ave Maria in my divings, in the warm up, and for example, to me the warm up is also. I say prayers really, and also I ask permission to the ocean to allow me to get there, and also after a deep dive, normally I like to do another dive to say thanks again to the ocean, and to have a relationship with the ocean that is not looking at the ocean like water, but looking at the ocean like a friend or a mother. Or a father, it depends. It can be everything, and talk with the ocean, like he has a soul. Thank you. You're welcome. And Antonio, he was eating with us. Then he went resting a little bit. He was a little bit disappointed for the dive of today because he turned early. And he could do it today because he did a nice dive and he could do also the depth he announced. But there is as well is young and is making experience and learning and understanding, and sometimes you see is for learning you pay a lot, because when you do a mistake at the World Championship, it costs a lot of money. A lot of money, not of money, it costs a lot of energy, pain, whatever, you know, because if you are training with a friend and you do a mistake, you say, okay, tomorrow I do it again and I don't do this mistake. In the World Championship, you lose a medal and you know that you have to wait at least 1 year, and maybe next year there is not the opportunity. and so it's difficult, but because it's difficult and it costs a lot of energy, it's a learning, because this is also Freud was saying something about that we learn depending on how much energy we put in the learning as well. Okay, so if I don't know, Alessia is not here, right?
No, unfortunately.
Yeah, maybe she will come back later. I don't know if you have other things now. And if there are no other questions, I say hello and thanks for coming.